Hi everyone, it's Jerry here today with a tutorial on what I'm going to call my Shabby Rosette, the little rosette that's on this card. I had a blogging friend, ask me how I made it, and I kind of looked at a variety of videos when I was messing around with little fabric roses like this, and I really couldn't find the ones though that I had used. And nothing out there really showed the technique that I use, so I thought, well, even though this is just probably a little bit of a variation from some that are out there, I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and make my own and try to make it as clear as mud. A lot of them out there that I saw when I was looking for something to recommend to a friend was more on this little twisted rosette where they twist the fabric as they go and it just spirals around one layer just right next to the other, and they use, I think, adhesive as they go because there's it's just these loose layers. There's no way to keep them together as they go with that technique. The technique that I use, I don't use adhesive as I go because I do a little more folding that kind of holds the rose together. So for my card, the flower on my card, I used, I'm not sure if this is a muslin or what. It's a little bit looser weave fabric. It's kind of nubby. It's got a real natural look to it. And I used strips that were close to 2 inches. This strip was not quite 2 inches wide. And it's between 2 foot and a yard wide. I've never used a full yard for a rosette, but it probably depends on exactly what size you want it to be when you're done. So better safe than sorry. Might as well start off with a yard, and you can always trim off what you don't use. So anyway, I've made a knot at the end. You can, if you make it closer to the end, you're wasting less fabric with your knot. So you're going to use this to hang on to, and that little knot is going to be the center of your flower, like a lot of little flowers that you make. So anyway, you're just going to take your fabric and give it some twists that are not super tight. And just kind of start, this part you are just kind of spiraling it around. And forgive me because I'm having a horrible time seeing this. But I'm going to do the best I can. Got bifocals on and this little screen right in front of me. Not the easiest thing for me to see. So anyway, I've done a few spirals, but then I'm going to take my fabric and kind of sandwich it over the edge there. So some's on the top and some's on the bottom. Then I'm going to, go ahead and twist it back together, and that's kind of going to keep that tight. And I'll do that same thing again. Some's on the top and some's on the bottom. Give it a little twist. I might go ahead and give it another loose twist now. And that's how it's a little bit different than the other spiraled roses. When you do this, when you kind of, sandwich it in there, that is also kind of holding it together. And there are some roses that, when I twist it and kind of make that little sandwich, they do that with every, every twist is like that, and those roses, they're a little more probably uniform looking, a little tighter looking, and they get pretty thick this way from what I have seen. This one's going to be a little flatter and a little looser because I kind of go back and forth between just some loose twists like that, and then one, I've got to straighten out my fabric down here, one that's going to actually kind of fold over and kind of keep it all together. I like it when it folds over the top, but I don't want necessarily every single one to do that because I just like the variation in it. So you can see that it's forming. Right now it is it's getting close to 2 inches around, I would say. So for most things I do, that's plenty big. So what I would do at this point, I would have either your hot glue, or I use a beacon adhesive that's a pretty quick grabber, and just tuck that under the way you like it. And I can hold on to it there, and it's going to stay together because of those folds and that kind of little sandwichy thing we did. It's kind of keeping it together. So anyway, I put a good bunch of adhesive under there, and take my loose ends and just really press them into that adhesive and let it grab. And then you could just snip off your ends and you've got your rosette. And with this fabric, because it's a looser weave, you've got some of these little threads flipping out. If there are some that are longer than you like, you can always just snip those off. But for the rows that I did, I kind of liked a little bit of that little shabby edge. So there is that one. I have another one. This actually might be a better way to start if you haven't done this before. Excuse me. I found this ribbon at Hobby Lobby, and you can see it's an iridescent ribbon. This is a purple with like a greenish aqua showing through. This one was kind of an aqua with a green showing through, and this one is green, and it's kind of got the aqua coming through, but they're really pretty. I just picked them up because I thought they were so pretty. Didn't have anything in particular in mind, but they were perfect when I started messing with these roses. And this one I made, and I just had it setting to the side, and because it's also wired, it's a wired ribbon, and that works really well for these. Because the wire, helps keep the shape of the rose. So you got plenty of time to, put your adhesive under there and, get it the way you want it there. But I'll show you. I'll go in and do just one more with the ribbon. Because if it were me, I'd be replaying the video. If it was something I thought I could use, I'd want to see it one more time. So I'll just do it one more time with the ribbon. I'm just going to give it a few twists. I have worked with this ribbon before. I tried to press it out because once you've twisted it a few times, if you find yourself getting frustrated and wanting to start over, at some point you might just want to get a new strip of fabric, because once you've put those crinkles in it, your twists, they're not going to be so loose. They're going to be maybe tighter than what you would like. So anyway, my first few are just going to be spiraled around there. But then once I get it going, that's when I'm going to kind of start, kind of cupping it over a little more. And pulling that and cupping it over one more time. And then maybe just give it a couple loose twists around there. And I think I'll give it another one, because I think this is where I cupped it before, and I don't want it to start looking like I'm doing the same thing in the same place. So I'll do it here. And I'll do it again there. And there, and here. I think I'll just do a couple twists around there. Just had a little red-headed visitor step in on me. And anyway, that I think is far enough for you to see. This is where I would just tuck this under wherever I liked it, put my adhesive on the back, squish this loose end down, squish this other part down in there, get them all glued in there, and trim off my extra. On the one on my card, some people like to put little embellishments in the center, and there's lots of adhesive pearls. I actually stitched, these were beads, and so I stitched these and pulled them really tight down in the center, and I like the way the fabric then was able to just wrap right around it because I'd stitched them and pulled them tight. So anyway, that is my shabby rosette. Maybe just a little different than some things that you've seen, maybe not. So anyway, I hope there's a little something in it that you like and maybe want to try, and I'd love to hear how you did. So thanks for popping in. Bye-bye.